Welcome back to the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Earlier this week, I landed the interview of a lifetime with Gene, the Pumpkin Man. It took place on his historic pumpkin farm on M-43 in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So, immediately following the interview, I'll take you on a short tour of his place and share with you 10 things I learned about Gene. I love your little front porch here. This is nice.
Yeah, well, we call this thing here the pumpkin room.
Oh.
And I sit in that chair out there for a good share of the time when I'm selling.
Okay.
Or either that or in the golf cart.
Nice.
Because I can't walk the farm anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to have $1 for every time I did. But those days are over. I'll bet you somebody wants to buy some honey.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Well, let's get this started, Gene. Today I am fortunate enough to be sitting with Gene, the Pumpkin Man. I really appreciate this interview, Gene.
You're more than welcome.
When you answered my phone call, I was so excited. I think I would like to start out if you could just tell me a little bit about the history of the farm. I know it's got a really rich history, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but I'd like to hear about your grandfather and your father and all of that.
Well, my grandfather bought the farm in 1885. And if he came across the field, it isn't more than 3/4 of a mile away from where he was born and raised. And then my father took over in 1925 when my grandfather passed. And then when my father passed in 1977, I took over. We grew grain and hay over the years, and we had livestock. We had a team of horses, of course, and we farmed with horses until 1945.
Wow.
1946.
Okay.
Just after the war, we got a tractor. And we had hogs and cattle and beef and of course, a team of horses and chickens. And but before 1930, Dad raised a tremendous amount of pickles and watermelons and muskmelons and the like, and peddled them door to door, a lot of it. But we had a pickle deal in Madeline, and so in the pickle season, they'd take a load of pickles over there every other day, and think nothing of it. And so that was their cash crop type thing. My grandfather was a barrel maker. In the wintertime, he'd take the train to South Haven and work during the winter. And probably get there, I don't know, he went Sunday night or Monday morning, but he worked all week, and then he'd come home on the weekends. And then, of course, in the summertime, he stayed right here and worked and so on. But my father had one brother and 4 sisters, and so on. And then my older brother and myself and my younger sister came along with Dad's second marriage, their first marriage, and 2 sons, and so they went their way and so on. But anyhow, the farm was, he had a chance to buy 40 acres about half a mile away, 1/4 of a mile away, in fact, in 1940, and he bought a tax sale for $40. Wow. That's for the entire 40 acres. Well, we planted pine trees on that, covering up the sand, but we kept 24 or so acres that we farmed. And then everybody up here on highland had a little something in the swampland, which is just a mile and a quarter, such a matter on the flatlands down here. And that was for the lumber. If we were lucky, we had little trees for lumber. And we had firewood from there. And there was some grass that you could get from the swamp. I don't know exactly when alfalfa was introduced, but until that time, a good share of the hay was grown in the lowlands. Mm-hmm. And I would say possibly alfalfa wasn't introduced until possibly the 20s, but I could be wrong, but I don't know that. But anyhow, I didn't appreciate the swampland, and never did, and never will. But anyhow, that's what it was. And so then when my mother died, and I told Dad, I said, I don't care what you do, but do something that this doesn't go through probate. So he had three different 40-acre lots. So my brother got the one over to the north, my sister got in the swampland and a little bit of whatever money was left, and I got the main farm. Because Dad knew that I would keep the farm going.
Nice.
And of course, I'd started pumpkins in 1957.
57.
And so it was, he was alive for 57. He was alive 20 years before when I started the pumpkin bed. And so, but I'm very proud, and I'm proud not only of the fact of the pumpkin farm, but I'm proud of the heritage that I was fortunate enough to have. And genealogy goes back to 1608 in England, and so we got some history back of us, and I'm very proud of that. A lot of people, they could care less about history or heritage, and yet I'm very proud of the heritage and the history, and I just hope that I can continue to do what I have been doing, and as long as the good Lord allows me to do it, and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you love most about being a pumpkin farmer?
What do I like most?
What do you love the most?
the October when the customers are here.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
No, we sell a product and give away memories.
Yeah.
And it's one memory right after another. And if I had $1 for every picture taken on this hill, I won't be too concerned about where my meals are come from. But no, I enjoy people, and I get carried away about telling stories at times, and I'll apologize to the customers, and they'll say, "Oh, don't apologize. We'd like to hear your stories."
Yeah.
And most of them have something to do with the history of the pumpkin farm.
Yeah.
And they enjoy that, and I enjoy telling them. And of course, you get some that, that pumpkin ain't worth $5, but that's what you cost, so I'll give it to you, but I won't be back. Well, that's their problem, because if it wasn't worth $5, it was probably worth $6 or $7. But you get that occasionally.
Yeah.
But you get so much more praise, and I have people. I have no idea how much money would be given to me as a tip and such. Well, that'll be $17.50. Here's 20. That's close enough. And all these, and once in a while we had a couple from Holland here last fall, and they bought a few things, and he went to the car, and he came back and he handed me a $20 bill. He said, "My wife says that this place has to be kept going.
Yeah.
And we want to help a little bit."
Yeah.
And that gets you humbled. Right?
Yeah.
But you know, life is good. Life is good. Everything changes but the love of God. And you have to accept that. Some of it, it's a little different, but on the other hand, it's all the same, and except that it changes for supposedly the better, and so on. But
The next question comes from my dad. He is in the greenhouse business and grows flowers. So he's really curious to know, when do you sow the seeds and how long does it take to fully grow the pumpkin?
well, you usually wait till around the 1st of June to actually plant the pumpkin seeds.
Okay.
And it's a little rough this year because we need water. But I'm not a gambling man. Absolutely refuse to gamble. But when I was raising 40 acres, there was nothing to buy $4,000 or $5,000 worth of seed and put it in the ground and expect it to grow. And of course, for the most part, it did. But you plant them around the 1st of June. You can plant them probably as late as mid-June or thereabouts. But you're pushing it if you go later than that. Today is what, 21st or whatever. We're pushing it. They better be in the ground. That's just that simple. The number of pumpkins per acre, I'm guessing maybe 2, in some cases 3. It depends on the size of the seed, of course. We had a teacher here some time back. She bought a couple of pumpkins of different sizes, perhaps 3 or 4 different sizes, and she had her class open them up and count the seeds. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of difference in the number of seeds in a pumpkin according to its size.
Mm.
Now, that seems a little bit out in left field, but that's what she told me, and I believe her. But we raise around a dozen varieties of pumpkins and about that many, maybe only 10 or so of winter hard squash. And they get planted at the same time and harvested at the same time. And we grow a specialty pumpkin that is better tasting, in my opinion, than any other. And it's called a winter luxury pumpkin.
Okay.
It looks just like a pie pumpkin, only it's got a nut on it, just like a mushmelon. And then we've got a new squash that has been developed in the last few years called a more golden buttercup squash. Mm-hmm. And you can tell buttercup squash because most of them got a little cup on the bottom. And we think that is the better squash, although I like all squash. Mm-hmm. The old big hard Hubbard squash was probably my first solid food.
Really?
Probably, and we've eaten them for years and years and years. But we're probably in the neighborhood of, maybe 6 or 8 tons of squash or more. Yeah, upwards of 200 tons of pumpkin, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I understand that you have a cookbook, is that right?
Past.
Okay, you've made one in the past?
Yeah. We could have handed out a number of thousands of cookbooks. I don't know how many we handed out, but I'd almost think we could go 10 to 15,000 cookbooks.
Wow.
So we've done that for a number of years.
Okay.
Now, you won't throw that cookbook away.
Right.
Best advertising ever done.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, one guy called me in December, and he said, my wife and I lived in Kalamazoo, came to your farm several times, and we got a cookbook. Well, we moved to Florida, and after we got here, we separated and got divorced, and she took the cookbook. Could you send me another one? Another lady called and says it's practically the same thing when she wasn't divorced, but she lost the book when she moved. So I had to send her a book, Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Now, you got Western Michigan University College here in town, and a lot of the college students come from abroad. And so if there's any money behind them, their parents will come here and visit them, and then they've all got to come out here and visit them. There's no question but there was, Japan, China, Russia, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, you name it, they were here visiting with their child in college, and they had to come out and see me. There's a lot of cookbooks in those foreign countries, and this is fine. But no, I haven't printed a cookbook for 4 or 5 years now, because it's just it done its purpose.
Yeah.
And so, which is fine. But no, we push the issue in the cooking bit, not only squash but the pumpkin, and you can make a pumpkin pie out of butternut squash, and for the most part, you can't tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, this question comes from my mother. She wants to know, what is your favorite pumpkin dish or favorite pumpkin recipe?
Pumpkin squares.
Oh.
People, some call them pumpkin squares, some call them pumpkin
Bars?
bars.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah. And I prefer white icing and raisins.
Okay.
A few chopped nuts don't hurt,
Yep.
but the plain old chunk of pumpkin bars are my favorite. And I feel I could probably make myself sick on them if I didn't control my eating. But I like everything pumpkin to a degree, but pumpkin ice cream, for some reason or another, I can get along. I can eat it, but I can get along without it.
Yeah.
But most everything else, and you can keep, you can freeze raw squash for 90 days and get away with it.
Okay.
And don't have to do anything to it. And of course you can freeze squash and pumpkins for probably a year and get away with it.
Okay.
And go from there, yes. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people don't know that you do a roadside stand. Is that year round? Can you tell me a little bit about what you sell there?
No, the only thing year round is honey and pumpkin butter.
Okay.
We have that little building out yonder that we refer to as a honey building.
Okay.
And all self-serve. And you'd be surprised at the number of people that will buy gallons of pumpkin honey. I don't tell them it's pumpkin honey nowadays because it may or may not be. But when I was raising 40 acres, it had to be. And but anyhow, it's still reasonably close to here that it's produced. And well, I had to rent the bees when the wild bee went bad. And so I rented a couple of years, and the bee man said, "Why don't you try selling some honey?" I said, "I can't sell honey." I said, "No way." He says, "Let me bring some over. If you sell it, fine. If you don't, I'll come and get it." So he brought some over. Then he brought some over. Then he brought some over. Today, it's scary to even think as to how much honey we sell.
Really?
You get people from Chicago coming over here, and they'll buy 6 or 8 gallons at a time. And now they're either going back to Chicago and selling it in smaller lots and tripling whatever they paid for it, or they're making mead, which is an alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And but I don't care what they do with it. Once they pay me for it, that's their money. But the pumpkin butter, it comes from Shipshewana, Indiana, and the Amish actually make the pumpkin butter, and that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I tried it. It's really good.
Yeah, and so that and the honey. But we're only open as such for the roadside stand 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
We open the Saturday closest to September 15th,
Okay.
and we're open every day through October 31st. And the internet says that we're open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day year round. That's not true. And I'm not sure how to get that up in there. But we had a little problem here last year. The first problem I ever had. I got robbed. And I was bamboozled by one man. Another guy went around, came through the window. And the only thing he got was 3 rings, but one of them was my father's diamond, which hurt some. But we were given serious consideration of closing at 7 rather than 8. And I think we probably will. Well, if we can change it on the computer, we got to do that. But even then, 10 to 8, that's a long day.
Yeah.
That's a long day. And I'm 87 years old. But I still enjoy the public.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, without question. And, and if praise was money, I'd be a multi-millionaire. And you have to accept it. It's difficult for me well, I have to accept some praise, that's all there is to it. But it's difficult to do it. But on the other hand, if I want to do something for somebody, that's my business, I do it, and 10 minutes later I forgot I'd done it. But if you do something for me, I never forget it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. And if I do, all you gotta do is give me a hint and it comes back again. But I had a lady stop here yesterday. I hadn't seen her for years. Just wanted to stop and see how things were. They were sitting out in front on the golf cart here, must have been Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, a man called and said my wife and her sister drove by and see you sitting out there and you were draped over the steering wheel. I said, yeah, I was a little tired, so I just rested a little bit. He said, well, we were concerned.
Oh.
You're an absolute legend and we want you well. And I have no idea who he was.
Oh, wow.
None whatsoever.
That's the first time I've heard that term, pumpkin honey. So you're saying that the bees are actually feeding off of the pumpkin patch?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
As opposed to like clover honey, the bees would be in a clover field.
Right.
Okay.
Now, some of them, they make an issue of that. I'm not going to tell you that the honey I'm getting now is pumpkin honey because it may or may not be.
Yeah.
But at one time when I had 40 acres of pumpkin, there was no question about it.
Oh.
And, but some people will tell you they can taste the difference. Well, and I'm not saying they can't. Well, I'm not sure that I can. And this is vivid, like maybe in the South you orange honey. Or now these people that produce honey here, once in a while they'll go to California and pollinate the almond trees.
Oh, wow.
Which is fine. But I would question if I ever got any of the almond honey, but I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But no, that's another one of the things. And some people swear by. There was a couple here a couple of years ago, and just before I closed, they had 3 kids, and they were big people. And he bought a pint of pumpkin butter, and butter, not honey, but butter. And he opened it up, he paid me, then he opened it up and he took a taste of it. Well, his wife took a taste, the kids took a taste. Then he came back and said, I need a couple more because I got taken it with 2 fingers. So,
Do you want me to grab that for you? I think it's right here, Gene. There you go.
Possible fraud, so I just...
No.
So anyhow...
Where were we?
We were talking about pumpkin butter.
Yeah, he bought the pumpkin butter, tasted it, needed more.
Got to the car and all of them were taking it out with 2 fingers. He came back and bought 2 more pints. Now, I don't know how much he bought since then, but whatever. But that was just kind of humorous. That's all. But yeah, it's pumpkin butter is all right. I enjoy it, but it's different, obviously, from strawberry and raspberry, as a whole lot of people would eat, and which is fine. Of course. But no, I enjoy October.
Yeah.
I really do, and it's sometimes it can get a little stressful, but I have enough help that if I have to take a nap, I do.
Yeah.
And because I'm not 21 anymore. Well, we just, that cardboard deal with me over there in the corner, we had that done at the start of COVID-19.
Oh.
So that we put that in the garage, and the customers especially the children, take their mask off and get their picture taken with me. And at a distance, it's hard to tell that at a distance.
Yeah. So do you open October 1st for pumpkin season, or when do you?
Yes.
October 1st.
We might have a few before October 1st.
Okay.
We will have, I like to say that we'd have at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 ton by October 1.
Nice.
And then they just keep bringing them in. But I don't like to unload. They bring them in by 20 bushel bins.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to unload them while I'm open, for a simple reason that it's some people that you can have 20 ton out in front, but we're unloading in back. And they come back there and they get right in the way, looking for something else other than, and probably better pumpkins out in front, but they think you got to take it out of the bin. Well,
the secret stash, right?
Yeah, and we unload them with forklift, of course, and you don't want to be fussing with machinery much with the customers, because I've had customers carry a baby and walk right in front of a moving tractor.
Oh.
And you have to be ahead of the game. You got to think ahead of the game. Otherwise, you could get a little bit. So we open at 10, and so I have help here at 7, and we can unload 2 loads in 3 hours.
Okay.
Most of the time. And so, but I've got some awfully nice friends that help me out. I got a lady that's been with me 33 or 4 years. She started when she was 12. Her father brought her and her older sister over, the neighbors. And I want to teach my daughters how to work. And we want to help you pick, but we don't want any money. Well, they worked one night, and I said, "You're on the payroll, whether you like it or not." Well, she's stuck. And I think this coming year might be 34 or 5 years. Lovely, lovely lady. I could have her here October 1st, and I walk away, and I come back November 1st, and it would be as good, if not better, than if I was here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's no question about it. She's got it together. And I gotta tell you, she's executive secretary to the CEO of Consumers Credit Union. So I told her last fall, I said, I said, Heather, the only thing you've got to worry about with your job being the executive secretary to the CEO is you've got to make that CEO look good. She smiled, she says, I make both of my CEOs look good. And she does. She does. I could call her today and ask most anything that she's capable of doing, and it would be done.
Nice.
I'm going to argue about this? Not me. Not me. No way. And I have other friends that help out a lot and go from there. And you have a little negative here and there, and occasionally that you don't worry about. You go on anyhow, and that takes care of itself.
Yeah.
So, but no, I like the heritage, and I like the history, and I like the public.
Yeah.
And especially when they get asking questions that I've got answers to. But no, I have 3 children, and one of them doesn't want anything to do with it. The other one might, but her husband has multiple sclerosis, and the war in Louisiana, he might, but he's been in Louisiana too long, and I don't expect him to be here at all. And this is life.
Yeah.
This is life, and so when I got out of high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do any more than I wanted to be here. And there was times when it was a little bit tougher to be here than not be here. But on the other hand, the pleasure of being here was always with me.
Yeah.
And I done some work that, like having like milking cows. I'm not sure that was necessary, but you done what you done when you thought it needed to be done, and so that's the way life was. And so, but now I do what I want to do when I want to do it to a degree. But no, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with the farm and the history and the recognition.
Yeah.
Oh, the recognition you wouldn't believe. But
so one of the main reasons I wanted to create this video, Gene, is because I think you already know this from the public that comes in and tells you how amazing the place is, but I just wanted to tell you firsthand, from all of West Michigan, we thank you for providing such an awesome place to get pumpkins. You're making memories, people come and spend time with family. I mean, that's what life is all about, is making memories. And I know a lot of hard work goes into it, and you know, we're so quick to be negative about everything, but I just wanted to be upfront about just saying thank you for all that you do here. I also wanted to say that just before I turned the cameras on, you were talking about working with the Grange,
right,
and how they potentially could use some donations in an effort to move their cause forward. Can you talk about that for a second?
I sure can. The Grange, the National Grange, was founded in 1867 in Washington, D.C. by, I believe, 7 men. And it was started as a farmers' fraternal order. They had the password, and they referred to the president as worthy master, and the vice president as worthy overseer, and that, on and on and on. Well, over the years, you went from 90% farmers to 7% farmers now. But we're still in the neighborhood, and we're still trying awfully hard to improve the well-being of all citizens. We have dictionaries for the 3rd graders that we donate to the 3rd graders in the community. And we've done that almost, I think we've done it since when the dictionary people started. They went to the service club. We'd be considered a service club, and we buy the pumpkins, we buy the dictionaries, and then we give them to the 3rd graders. And they've given out hundreds of thousands of dictionaries over the years.
Wow.
And we're proud of it, and we're mighty proud of it. I just have to be awful careful that the children understand that the dictionaries came from the Grange and not me.
Yeah.
I'm just a delivery boy. But the Grange, you've got the local Grange, which is up there on 3rd Street and 8th Avenue in Kalamazoo County, and then you got the district Grange, which I think it includes 3 counties, Kalamazoo, St. Joe, and Cass, I believe. And then you got the state Grange, and then you've got the national Grange. Our main purpose is to improve the well-being of all citizens. In the first place, they lobbied not only the state representatives, government,
Okay.
and Congress, and the National Congress, to eliminate the railroad monopoly. If the farmer sold wheat for say he sold it for $5 a bushel, he might get 1, and the railroad gets 4, for a simple reason that you had to have the railroad in order to transport your grain. So anyhow, they broke up that, and then they went in the 20s. They established rural free delivery for the mail, and they lobbied the Congress for that. Today they're dealing with internet, and you'd be surprised at the number of areas that the internet is scarcely available. Mm-hmm. And obviously the larger cities, But there's other areas that, well, there's some areas, as I understand, that they can't get it at all. Well, we're working on that. And we are working within the community to have a social life. Now, our particular Grange has a jam session every third Friday of the month. And sometimes we'll have 3 or 4 musicians, sometimes we'll have 15 or 20. But with the jam session, you never know who's going to show up. But it's an acoustic, primarily string jam session. And we've had 2 or 3 people over the years say, you know, where else can you go and enjoy an evening of music and a little fellowship and maybe have a cookie or 2 and a cup of coffee or whatever. And if you want to leave something for the Grange, fine. If you don't, fine. And they made sense. They made sense. It was just like I said to my sister, when we were growing up, we went to the Grange if we wanted to have something to do with a society type thing. I believe in its day that the Grange was the #1 gathering place in the community, second to the church only.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I believe that's true. And now we're pushing for membership and one thing and another. I've seen the time when they throw a bazaar, they call them, in the fall, and they would advertise, of course, and they would we could seat 80 people at a time, and we'd have chicken supper. And I've seen the time when they had 3 and 4 tables. In other words, upwards of 400 people that they served chicken dinner to.
Wow.
And they served it on china with silverware, and somebody had to wash that table service.
Yeah.
And to get set up one thing. They'd start on Thursday, peeling potatoes and carrots and whatever else they had to. In the day, a lot of the food was donated. Upstairs, we have 2-story Grange Hall. Upstairs, they'd be having bingo while the people was waiting to eat their dinner. And the women would bring their handiwork and their baked goods and one thing and another, and of course we'd sell them. And it was a community service that not only helped the Grange, but helped the community as such. And they'd have more fun than a little bit. If they weren't playing bingo, they'd be playing cards and whatever card game they wanted, of course, and so on. But times have changed, and I think I've said before that everything changes except the love of God.
Yeah.
I sincerely believe that. And you have to change with it. But we're still a Grange, and we're still going for it. And there's a lot of enjoyment still done at the Grange. They started out originally the Grange was a fraternal order, so you had degrees. And the first 4 degrees was our Grange, and that stood for the 4 seasons of the year. And when you were taken into the Grange, originally they take the new members around to the different officers, and the officers would say what they had to do, whether it was the president or the treasurer or whoever's chaplain, and like that. And I think there's 13 officers. And but anyhow, we're trying awfully hard to continue the reason for the Grange to be here.
Right.
That's about the best thing I can come up with.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to say, but I don't know. But anyhow, we're working at it, and we're doing what we can to serve the community.
Awesome.
And like I say, we still have a Christmas party and a Thanksgiving dinner. The community picnic will be here at the farm because it's far easier to accommodate the number of people. And we have a man that hasn't shaved in 35 years, and he comes and plays Santa Claus, and we have some fun, and it's just common, just low down common fun. That's just all there is. There's nothing highbrow about it. And when they have the music jam sessions, you're going to have some exceptional musicians, and then you're going to have some that might not be quite so exceptional, but we all enjoy each other, and that's what life is all about.
Yeah, making memories like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of new couples, 2 new couples that have children, and one of them is a computer guru, and she's talking about doing more on the computer as far as the Grange is concerned, which is fine. Now, there's something about the Grange on the computer as it is, but it's dealing with the national and the state. But you bring up the state website, and all the Granges in the state of Michigan are on there, including us. And my name is there because I'm the president, and my telephone number and address and so on. And we do a little bit for the hearing impaired in the state of Michigan, and some people call it the deaf awareness, which is fine. And we contribute to that to some degree. And in fact, I have got a number of sign language posters that we're going to distribute to different places this coming year. And we push the sign language, we push the dictionary, and you'd be surprised at the dictionary, when the children get to the dictionary, how interested they are immediately.
Really?
Immediately. We've given some to different schools. They had one big dictionary, and that's all they had. Well, these are the students, it's a gift to the student. And if the teacher wants them to keep it there at the school, that's one thing. If they can take it home, that's fine. And if they want to keep it at school in the 4th and 5th, somebody was telling just the other day that somebody told me that they're in college now, and they still have the dictionary that they got from us in the 3rd grade.
Really?
Well, that ain't all bad.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And it's just a down-home organization that doesn't do a whole lot of bragging. I try awfully hard not to brag about the farm, but I can't help but be I can't help but be proud.
Yeah.
And it's humbling at times what people say about the farm and about me, because I don't feel that I'm anything special. I happen to grow pumpkins, and I sell a product, but I give away memories.
Yeah, you sure do.
And the decorations that we have now haven't been as many or as nice as we've had, say, 40 years ago or whatever. But I have a lady friend that works for me, and she's got a decorating mine, and so that's what it's all about. It's all about. Now, you know, the sign here says, "Welcome to our patch."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need that like another hole in the head.
Yeah.
But it's me.
Yeah.
You see, and the cardboard cutout of me, and the stagecoach deal there.
Yeah.
It all comes in together.
It sure does.
There's a fair amount of history, and there's a fair amount of pride.
Yeah.
Tremendous pride. I'm just proud. And I think that I think I can be proud and not be boastful.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I don't like to be boastful. No. But
Well, Gene, do you have time to give me a tour of your beautiful farm?
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yep. Well, I'll go this way,
All right.
and I'll open up the garage.
Okay.
And that's where we're going to start from.
Sounds good.
You bet.
Sometimes you got to tell them how it is, right, Gene?
Oh, I get so tired of them that.
Yeah.
Anyhow. I wasn't due waving. When we built the two-story here, we had the pumpkin door, the pumpkin window in the door. And everything, all we need to leave is a driveway about, 8-10 foot wide around here. And we have these picnic tables, so if somebody wants to, and once in a while somebody will be there and they might stay here 2-3 hours and just have a picnic.
Just hang out.
Yeah. And we built this little patio here, and there's a stem there in all the shape of a pumpkin. And so, but we got pumpkins up there on the lightning rods and on the house. Oh yeah. Now we have these big old tires, pie pumpkin,
Okay.
and so on. This was just an old thing that I found that somebody had that in a factory,
Nice.
so that the men could sit there and eat the dinners. Well, they wanted to get rid of it, so we got it. Not too sure that it was the smartest thing I ever done, but anyhow, here's the forklift here that is, and now there's 2 trees here, one where the stump is and one where the tires are.
Yeah.
That were maple. They are similar to that maple down there, and they got rotting and dangerous.
Oh, really?
And so they had to come take them down. Well, I was gone when they were taking them down, but I told them, I says, just leave the chips out there because they chip everything, So they done that, and when I come home, this thing's, and of course you got the outhouse, but I rent an outhouse because that isn't the most clean deal there is.
Yeah.
And of course my stem is broke off here. But you see, now I can't get up there and fix that stem. 20 years ago I'd have it taken care of.
Yeah.
I don't dare get up there, so I gotta get somebody to help me put that back up and so on.
How are you going to fix it, with duct tape, or do you need more than that?
I may put another piece of tubing on there
Okay.
and take care of it. But now that barn over there, that roof, I've painted twice. It ain't gonna get painted by me again. I'll tell you. I call it an abstract pumpkin. Everything is straight lines,
Yeah.
and 4x4, and they put it there, and then we put a bench in front of that, and people, they have more fun taking the pictures there. This I know was in operation in 1928 because it was at the hatchery, and that's when they started building the hatchery.
Okay.
Well, along in the 50s, they got an electric pump, I believe it is, and they've got orchards, cider, donuts, and one thing and another, and they've got a zipper, and go from there, and whatever, but. And where the flower is there, that's an egg basket.
Oh, yeah.
And
I see that.
And of course, this is a fire hydrant. Doesn't do anything, it's just a fire hydrant.
Looks
this
cool.
is a water deal here, and we put that post in case that I back up sometime and I forget the post. There wasn't any post there, I didn't want to hit that water bit. Now, this pumpkin up here, a friend of mine fixed that. That's cut glass and leaded cut glass. I thought it was pretty nice for $29.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was for the...
So, as promised, here it is 10 things I learned about Gene. Number 1, his favorite pumpkin recipe is pumpkin squares. Number 2, he traced his ancestry all the way back to England in 1608. Number 3, he loves history and he loves the Lord. Number 4, he's 87 years old, he's got 3 kids, he's single and ready to mingle. Hello, ladies. Number 5, he's president of the West Oshkosh Grange. Number 6, he likes to eat cornmeal mush for breakfast, but does not drink coffee. Number 7, as a baby, his first solid food was likely squash. Number 8, the engine in his orange Cadillac needs work. Surely there must be one mechanic in West Michigan that can help him out. Number 9, his honey and pumpkin butter stand is open year-round. And number 10, this year, the pumpkin farm plans to be open September 16 through October 31st from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Anyway, that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for watching the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
And we will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Gene.